To everyone who's new here, and of course to those of you who are back again, great to have you here. Bitcoin is currently trading at 118,000 US dollar. In this video, we will take a look together at possible scenarios for the price development of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. So, yesterday I didn't do an update because it was Sunday and I didn't see many significant breakouts. Instead, if I don't do an update, then the analysis from the previous day is still ongoing, and here we had Druid. We had Druid already 2 days ago that we should get into the green trend line, and we didn't even get a candle close over it. What I wanted to see is to be bullish and to be in a long position for Bitcoin. I wanted to see a breakout, and I don't mean with a breakout just one candle close over the trend line. Sometimes it works that we have one candle close over it, a retest. If I see that, then I'm still careful and I'm waiting for the follow through, means a candle which closes over the previous breakout candle. What I always prefer to see is a significant push over several hours, and afterwards means like a few candles over the green trend line, then a retest, and if we get support over several hours, then the chances of a clear breakout is there, and then I want to be in a trade, and then I'm going to increase my leverage even more. But if I don't know it, if the market situation is unclear, then I put a small position with low leverage into the position, or I don't even trade it. So we have Druid here that we should get rejected first at 119,685 US dollar. Happened. Then we should see a pullback. We got the pullback. The pullback can still go lower. Yeah, just because I have here the circle doesn't mean that we have to stop there. We can still drop more and from here get higher prices. But if we go into the 50 minutes chart, then we have our first small bullish pattern, which is this double top pattern, the double bottom pattern. If it breaks to the upside at currently 118,250 US dollar, then we can see some upside momentum, but this is just a small way up. So that's 0.7%, and we also have a fair value gap, 1%. And I think that we are going to fill the fair value gap once we break out. And then we have to see if we are getting rejected again and get lower prices, or if we finally see the breakout with the retest, then it's long to me for a new all-time high. So I can put this price mark on the left to the right side. And now we don't have a breakout at $119,850 it was. Now it's at 119,385 US dollar, and over the time it's also going to get lower prices. So we get an earlier entry for a new all-time high. So if we now go into the 4-hour chart and I just duplicate the green trend line and I put it here, then you can also see that this might even be a bull flag. We have several touch points on the upper part. So if we zoom in, then you can see here one touch point. Then we broke out and got support, another touch point from the upside. 3 touch points right here. Another 3 touch points right here. And a couple touch points, or let's say candle closes, which closed lower than the green trend line, so not over it. Also 3 times. On the lower part, 1 touch point, second touch point, here also another 2 touch points, and here another touch point. So this is valid to me. And if we break it to the upside, then I want to be in the trade, because if we just take this up move from right here to the top and we put it to the breakout point, then the new target is going to be 135,000 US dollar for Bitcoin. I don't want to say that we are going to get there. You also have to keep in mind that we are still within a rising wedge, which you can see in orange. So if you are new on this channel, then you haven't seen that rising wedge. If you are already watching my videos, then you already know we are in a rising wedge. We can still touch the lower part of the rising wedge again, which is at around about 111,000, 112,000 US dollar, somewhere there. And we still can get a new all-time high. And we can get new all-time highs while being in a bearish chart pattern. So the whole bull market, in my opinion, is going to get done once we break the 112,000 US dollar to the downside. Then I expect a bigger movement to the downside, which can even reach prices down to 80k. If we break it also then to the downside, then we can be happy about prices lower than 60k in my opinion, because there I want to accumulate Bitcoin. I don't want to buy Bitcoin right now. I want to trade Bitcoin short term, but I don't want to hodl it at the prices right now. I think the prices right now are perfect for an exit. If I have Bitcoins in my spot portfolio, then I would sell them slowly. Because the price of 118,000 US dollars already good. We still have the chance to get higher prices, but somewhere the whole up move should be done, and we should see a huge correction. Anyway, we jump into Ethereum. So Ethereum didn't do exactly what we wanted it to be. We have said this might be an ugly rising wedge or ascending triangle. And if this ascending triangle breaks to the upside, which it did, inclusively a retest. So if I make this one longer, then you can see breakout, retest. Then the target should be the 4,055 US dollar. We also broke the green trend line to the upside, 3,820 US dollar. So far, what I can say is we have upside potential, we have strength. What I don't like is that I have a white trend line on this chart with a few touch points down here, another touch point right here, and here another touch point. We broke it to the downside. That doesn't mean, because we can also say this here is a rising wedge, I don't want to count it as a rising wedge. Means I don't think that we are going to get into the target, because the target would be somewhere here of that rising wedge. Just because we broke it to the downside doesn't mean that we have to get into the target. We are kind of bullish in my opinion. But what I can expect is, since we are currently breaking it to the downside, we have a fair value gap down here. And we had one right here, which we already filled. Now let's jump into the 4-hour chart. You can see that the fair value gap is even a bit bigger. So I can take this circle out and do a new circle. What I do next is I go into the 8-hour chart and I see nothing. So we will stay at the 4-hour chart. That's how I do fair value gaps. On the 50 minutes chart, if I see there a big fair value gap, and you can see it. So on the 4-hour chart, we have a huge fair value gap. On the 1-hour chart, the fair value gap is a bit smaller, but not significantly smaller. On the 50 minutes chart, we have almost the same size of that fair value gap. So this fair value gap should get filled in my opinion. And this is the price range of 3,650 US dollar to 3,684 US dollar. So as long as we hold there a higher low, so we have here a low, a higher low, another higher low, another higher low, and here another higher low, we can still expect more upside potential. What I would say is, I have here an orange trend line on the chart, which should actually be in possible head and shoulders formatation. So this was the left shoulder, this was the head, and we have calculated this as a right shoulder. but it didn't break to the downside. Instead, we invalidated this bearish chart pattern, and I can take the target out. But still, this trend line is going to be important in my view. So if we break it to the downside, then we have to see in which kind of pattern we are going to break it to the downside. But the breakout point is going to be at the moment 3,530 US dollar. Over the time, it's moving more to the upside. Once this breaks to the downside, we have many fair value gaps lower than us. So 4-hour chart, you can also see it. 8-hour chart, it's getting bigger. On the daily chart, you can see we have even fair value gaps down to 1,830 US dollar. The fair value gaps down here doesn't matter much, but this big one at 1,000, round about $900. I don't want to say that we are going to get there, but once the 3,500, let's say $30, so this red trend line breaks to the downside, it's not looking good. So if we get again over 3,820 US dollar and get our retest there, then we have to see if this is going to be the long trigger or if this retest also fails and we form something like another bull flag or falling wedge. So keep this scenario also in mind. Let's move on to the next coin, XRP. So we had for XRP a breakout of this white trend line, inclusively retest. We have also said that this white trend line is very speculative, and this just should get us up to, how much is it? $3.36. So we were close to it, but we didn't break it to the upside. So what I want to see is breaking the $3.36 to the upside. Yeah, we also have a fair value gap over it, even up to $3.43. And I think that once we break it to the upside, we should get a significant push, which is very quick. So it might be even possible that it's just one big candle. And afterwards, if I see the retest, I'm long for XRP. Let's break it down to the 50 minutes chart, because on the 50 minutes chart, we already see a bullish divergence and a bullish chart pattern. So we have in the RSI down here, higher lows. In the chart, we have lower lows. We have here low, we have here a lower low, and we have here the same low. The RSI is showing us something different, higher lows. So I can imagine that this might also be some kind of an rounding bottom. But this is just on the 50 minutes chart, so we can't expect that once we break something to the upside, and this can be this double bottom pattern, this can also be the resistance which we have here, like this. If we break it to the upside, it doesn't mean that we are going to get new all-time highs. I expect it. Once we break the $3.36 to the upside, then I think the chance is very high that we should get into all-time high area for XRP. So let's talk about Solana. So we have said about Solana right here. This falling wedge breaks to the upside. Once the 185 US dollar breaks to the upside, which it did here, we got one retest. Here we got almost a retest. Here also the retest. Here also almost the retest. Target was 195 US dollar, but if we break the 195 US dollar to the upside as well, then we should seek for our maximum target at the moment, $205 for Solana. Instead, we are currently having some difficulties. We are again at the support, 185 US dollar. Even if we sell off a bit more, it's not a big deal, because we can also calculate this as an head and shoulders formatation. And this head and shoulders formatation is just going to get activated once we break the current price mark of $177 and round about 50 cents. If we break it then to the downside, then we can take the length of one shoulder, so the least bearish target. But this would also get us lower than support. So I can even think about working off the right shoulder, so not the head, because the head would be the most bearish scenario. This is just the mid bearish scenario. And it can get us down to 160 US dollar. So for Solana, I don't worry for Solana at the moment. My stop loss is down here. So even in losses, if we get there. So I didn't save the position in profits. But we have to see. We have to see about Solana. For now, I'm still waiting. $177.65. If they break to the downside, then I want to be out of a long trade and consider even taking a short trade. If we break the 195 US dollar to the upside, then I want to increase my position size into 205 US dollar. And if the 205 US dollar breaks to the upside, then I want to increase my position size even far more. So I can gamble a bit with my earnings, with my unrealized profits. And I want to see the push into 225 US dollar, even up to 244 US dollar. So with that said, thank you for watching, and we see each other in the Sui, Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin update.